Welcome back everyone. Today we're in the Giants Editor, the 10.0.8 version of Giants Editor for Farming Simulator 25. I'm Jewel, and as you can see, we're working on the Jules Peaceful Valley map, and some of this won't be the same, but that's a temporary bridge right there just to get across. But we're working on this area. I had to mold the ground, as you can see, to give me some sort of waterway to have this pipe system have water. Now I'm not finished here. This is all very early. I hadn't even finished molding this, and it's actually going to be a little bit of a pain. So I'm going to finish this part later. You can see I got to get this out of there. But I want to show y'all some steps into how you can get this into your map, how you could do better than this particular spot. You need to pick a good spot and do the XML work and whatever, and then it'll work for you. Alright, this is the fish hatchery cluster, and if you're adding the whole thing like I've been doing with most of mine, you would go in your main game and get that fish hatchery either by itself or get the whole productions area that comes with all the buildings, as you can see spread all out over the map, and bring it in. So I'm going to show you real quick how to the beginners how to do that part, and then we'll jump back to some more explaining. So let's go ahead and get the building in here so we can make decisions with it. And what you're going to do is you're going to come to your File Explorer and get a folder to open up to wherever you're going to be going to the place you installed your game at, your Farm Sim 25 game. Now mine's in D drive, okay, as you can see up here, but yours might not be there. Yours could be in C drive or whatever drive you put it in. So go wherever you put it, okay? And if you don't know some of the path, it could be C drive program files 86, double click, and then Steam, double click for a Windows computer, and then Steam apps. If you happen to have Steam, then it would be under these. If you had something else, it may be under another folder. Then common, then there's your farm sim. Now in this case, this is 19. My 25 is in my D drive, okay? So it's in a different drive. I would go to Steam Library, Steam Apps, Common, Farm Sim 25, and then in this case, Data, and then Maps, Maps US, and then you can double click on the Map USI 3D, and then pick which Giants editor you're going to use. And in this case, you need to do the one that's for FS25, which would be 10.0.8 is the latest one. And you're going to click OK. It's going to open Riverbend. Now I've already opened it, and that just to save time, I'm gonna hit cancel. But you're gonna hit that. I'm gonna minimize this. I'm gonna jump over here to the other map, just so I don't have to wait for it to open. Be patient. Let it open. It's gonna spin a minute. Give it a second. Then you're gonna open map, locations, then buildings, then production points area, and then you'll click on the fish hatchery place. You'll hit F as in Frank, and you'll go to this spot. It'll take you right there, and you'll see what it looks like. Now you need to look around so you can get an idea what you need to do when you get it in there, and you can see how I got to finish molding. I missed that little spot, and I want to explain something that'll help you pick a better spot. Now obviously you need to pick a place by water, and so if you happen to have a spot like this, that'd be nice, because you need a spot so that you can have these pipes do what they doing. See, so, and that it has a bridge area. See, but if you don't have a spot like that, you can just make a little path from wherever you have a spot. As you saw what I did, I just kind of made it a spot to make it at least look like it had to go, water had to come through there, you see. So it doesn't have to be exactly like the other one. It can be however you make it. And I'm not finished molding all this. I still got more to mold. Okay, so don't worry about that. Just pick a good spot. I tried many spots, but that seems to fit the most, so that's where I decided to put it. And so now you're going to have to check the level, because what you're going to be doing is when you bring the building in, it needs to hit that water that you already have there at about that kind of level. You know what I'm saying? So you're going to have to focus on that more than anything else up here, because it's got to hit this area so that it makes sense for these spots. Okay, so that's those two spots that you need to be focusing on as far as getting the height. And then you're going to bring your ground down to that spot. Okay, the only other way that you could do that is if you threw the building on first and then you made your water at that level. And see, my water is going to be, I wanted it to be the same level over this whole piece, at least on this particular type of water. And so I had to go ahead and focus on the water part, alright, to make sure this building lands here right. Okay, so we're going to go over to that, back over here. And what you'll do is you just click on this building. If you're just getting this building, it would give you all that stuff that you see here. It's going to be a fence, piece of fence here, you can see, and all that comes down the side over here. It's just a fence with gates and stuff. It gets all that, everything within there and all that. It gets all this stuff, these little buildings, this stuff here, all that. Okay, and if you go down here, you can see the height that you need to get it. You can look at that and see how far down before it hits water, what needs to show, how far this goes, and you can eyeball it so that you know where to put yours when you're lifting up or down. Okay, and then you can mold the ground to make the rest of it fit, whatever that is. Alright, so another tip before we take them out of here is click on the paint thing right here up at the red pencil, texture paint, and let it open. Alright, so when it opens, turn your brush type to square right there, and you're going to notice something. What do you notice? That it's square, meaning it's square as in it's square to the building. It's not crooked, right? So this place right here ain't angled like this. So then if it was, the building would be, this wouldn't go right up to the edge of it like a straight line. Let me move it so you can see a little bit better. Let me get down close so you can see. See this straight line? You need to line yours up to where when you turn this on, yours is straight with it. And the reason for that is when you turn your sculpt mode on and you bring in your ground up to that spot, it's harder to do if you don't. Now I didn't, and that's why you see so many little jagged edges on mine. So let me jump over here. See all that? And let me turn on my paint thing so y'all can see. Now I can deal with it. I'll get it fixed and everything. Either that or I'll get frustrated and make it be square. But if I was to make it be square, it wouldn't fit right in this particular spot. You know what I mean? So let's turn on this and look at it. See how it's crooked? I would have had this fish placed at this angle so it would have fit right. But now when you click on the sculpt mode, I'll go ahead and do it so y'all can see briefly before we go bring the file over. I'm going to hit Control R on top of this ground and make it the same level, and I'm going to try to get this closer over here. We'll have to get the square brush again. I usually use round, but for this, if it were in alignment like that other one was, it would have been easier to get it up and equal to it. But see how that's going to stick that little corner out? Yeah, you can roll down, but it doesn't want to do as good when you get down. It's harder to get it to come up right. So it's going to jump over into this pit, and you don't want that stuff in the pit. You can see a little bit's up in the pit there. So now when I left click to replace it over here, you can see now that it's smaller, it seems to be doing fair, but look, it just came out over here. So, and it don't want to go very fast. You need to put this up as high as you can here. Make sure your your left mouse button's on replace, and then that way when you hit the Control R on the ground level you want, you can get it. It'll change that number. But basically, I'm holding the left mouse button down. You see? Now see, I'm trying to get it over there. And they see how much more fine. Now look, it jumped in there, and I ain't even got it fully up here yet. See how it's jumped in the bottom again? So the point is, if you'll put the square to where it's actually square, then it would be so much easier to get the ground to go where it's supposed to be. Now see if I get the ground there up to that point. Look, it's in the pit now. So then if I hit Control R in the pit to get that level back down, and then I start left mouse clicking over here to get this out, guess what happens? It makes the, see how it made that hole again where we just fixed? See that on the side up to the top? So it basically messes you right back up again. You see what I'm saying? When you getting that out of there. So that's the issue. So make sure that your paint thing or brush is in the square, like in the line with it, like that other side. Let me go back to this one so you can see, like that. See how it's squared up with it? So then it's going to make sense when you're doing the majority of the work. It's going to be a perfect straight line, and I'm going to go in close so y'all can see what it looks like under it. And you can see the ground has a sheer path. It's just straight up and down. See, look at the dirt. Straight up. Nice and smooth and perfect. But see how far it juts over? See that? And that's why it jumps under there on the other one if you don't have it just right, because it how the angle is when it, for some reason it's just the way that it angles it. But if you look over here, you're going to need to dig this out. Make sure, see, they didn't even do it right. They got a little piece in there they didn't get out. So see, and you're going to make sure that the dirt ain't in there and the dirt ain't under here. So see how it follows into this path, and you can look up, it's under this building. So you can see underneath there, they got that dug out so that the stuff can go in there, or the visual of it, you know. So basically, it's a pain, but you got to get that. And if you make sure that this is square, meaning lining up with that edge exactly, it makes your life a lot easier. So that's the first tip. And then check everything. Look at all your angles. Look at what you got. Like, do I need water? What level? You know, these are all going to be dug out. You need to look at that. See, you need to make sure those get dug out the same way. There's going to be dirt right here in the middle, so see, that's a whole thing. And again, you'll see that the path of the dirt, how it looks, it's at an angle. See, so that's how theirs look. See how they got theirs, and then they got that pit, and they made sure that the pit was dug out right there. But then all around it is dirt. So if you look back at mine on the pit thing, you can see it's the same issue. See how the edges are? See that? So it's going to be a finicky little thing to get it just right, since my brush don't square up. See how it's an angle? So it would be you have to get way down, and then you hit Control R on the, if you were on the sculpt mode, and so on and so forth. And it's a whole thing. See, I got a lot of stuff to do, but I just threw it in here to be able to do the XML work to show y'all how to get it in here. I'll be doing the working on the molding and the painting and all that later. I'm just getting the basics in here just enough to show y'all. So that's what I wanted to give y'all information on. And this fence in the Riverbend one is on a little rocky little piece, and you can see part of it's flatter, and then some of it starts going up a little, kind of like jagged like, and so the ground is hard to mold when it does that. So then you got to try to get the fence in the ground and all that. Now they hid theirs kind of off in like a jungle like forest looking whatever, and this is the front, and then this is the front gate here. Now none of this is finished molding. These houses won't be here. It's just random stuff. This bridge won't even be like that because it's too close to the water. But I just stuck it there for temporary to get over here. Okay, so you need to figure all that out. Figure out your placement. Like I say, if I was to take this, let me click on it. I don't need to turn it, but if I were going to turn it, what you would need to do, what you could do, if you hit 0 on the rotate, it would square it back up. But that's going to change all that. You see what I'm saying? So I'd have to duplicate it to try to show you. Let me hit Control D as in dog, duplicate it. If it did, it should have put it down here or up there. Should have did it up here. Okay, it looks like that it did it right here. Okay, good. So see this one? Let me turn it back off and back on, and you see it's missing the gizmo. You see up here, translate mode. You need to click that and to get your gizmo wheel back. If you see any of it missing, these are the three that turn them back on: the lines, or the this little piece scaling, or the gizmo, the round part. Okay, so then we're gonna come down a little. This is a duplicate now. I'm not moving my main one, and I'm gonna click on the rotate Y and hit 0. Watch what happens. That angle is the angle that I would have to do to get that to paint exactly squared up. You see what I'm saying? So now if I turned on, let's just kind of get over here by this one, or whichever one. Let me try to find a spot that you could tell it. Maybe this piece, because this is a building. Alright, see this building now? This is the way, and this one would work too. See, that's the original. This is the one I just duplicated. Now I'm going to turn on the paint thing and look. It squares up. So then, and the sculpt mode would square up. See how it's square? So that would make it easier to sculpt the ground. So make sure you do that. And as you see, the reason I didn't is this wouldn't look right. Then I would have to change this whole piece. It was already this. This already was here, and then I just added that little piece for the road. So this piece was already here, original, but I didn't want it to have to add all that extra, but you know, you can do that if you want. I'm going to delete this so we don't need it. Alright, so now we're going to go on over and bring it in. Okay. So, and that'll help you for any one of the buildings you do. So pick which one you want, if you want the whole thing or not. If you want the whole thing or this one, you're still going to do the same thing for the steps. So if you click this one, click the whole group. Okay, now you technically can pick out pieces and get the piece you want, but I've been doing the whole groups. So in this example, it'll be the whole group. Okay, and it will have all these extra little pieces, all the stuff, the fence and everything, and this little spillway thing and all the stuff. Okay, so you would either click this or you could do the production points. And if you do the production points, it gets you all the buildings. At least all the production point buildings. Okay? So whichever you do, either one, you could click on whichever one you pick, this one or that one. Say you pick the production point. Then come over here and double click in this box, and it'll highlight this name, right click and hit copy. And it'll take that name for you so that when you do export the selection with files, you can copy and paste it in the box. So then you're going to hit File, Export Selection with Files. You're going to take it to wherever your map is. Mine's in Documents, My Games, FS25, Mods. I suggest you put your map in your Mods folder in this path, and then it would be easier to test it in game because it's already in your Mods folder, and you don't have to move it back and forth. Now in my case it's 13, then Maps US. In here, click a new folder. I'm not going to do it, but you click new folder. It'll pop up a little spot that says new folder, and make sure that you paste this that you copied in that folder where you're making a new one. So you're just basically highlight that where it says new folder, or if it's already highlighted, go ahead and hit right click and then paste. And then once the folder's made, it's going to look like that. Then you're going to open that folder. This would be blank. Then once you see that it's, you're in the folder, click down here, right click and click paste. Then it's going to paste this here. Now I'm not going to do that obviously because I already have one, but you would paste that there. And then you're going to hit save, and then yes and yes. So there's two questions. You're going to hit yes to both questions, and then it'll send it to the files in this area, and then suddenly when you come back, it'll be there, and that's the one you're going to be importing. But right now I'm going to click cancel. You hit save, yes and yes, and then go to your map. So you would leave this. You could be careful when you're in your main game thing. When you close out, hit the X and then hit no. You don't want to save anything so nothing changes. Everything stays the same like it should in your original game when you're in here. Alright, now I would leave it open just so you can keep jumping back and forth to figure out what you should be doing. And as you can see, this is how it looks by the fence and how they decorated. And you can see for whatever reason that this looks ridiculous to me. They shouldn't have had these here. These pieces shouldn't have been there because that should have been on the ground. They should have made a bridge that didn't have that, but they didn't. It looks ridiculous. Look, they didn't even put this on the ground over here. To me, that just looks silly. But anyway, so that's that. This is a hard part to mold right up in here because it's the same thing. You got to have it down. So see, you'd have to get the ground down. So you also can look over here at this fence area to see what to do. So just back out till you find it. There it is right there, and you see it's on the slope. See, and so you'll be getting that fence mold your ground to where the fence shows up, and then you can decide whether you're gonna put trees there or a trail or not, or if you're gonna even go that far down here, or if you even make your water go in that kind of way, or whatever you do. You don't have to do it exactly like they did. I may just leave the fence there and use it some other way, or who knows, I don't know. I'm just showing you an example. Alright, so now that you brought it in, you're going to close that or leave it open in this case because you're going to be jumping back and forth looking to see what you need to make sure how everything looks or how you want it to kind of match. And so now we're going to go to our map, okay, your map, and then hit File, Import, and when you do, it'll come back to the very last one you did. And since I did this last, this was something I was off screen I was working on. You would, if it was yours, would say production points or whatever you just did, whatever the fish hatchery or whatever. You would click it and then click open, and it'll bring it in. So I'm not going to do that. But if you didn't get to the one you were last in, just back up one. Make sure you're in your map, and then go to the place it was, or just go back through Documents, My Games, Farm Sim 25, so on, Mods, and get back to your map. And in this case, you would open up the production point area, and then click that, if that's the one you brought in, or if it said Fish Hatchery, you would open up one called Fish Hatchery that you named it, and then there, and then open, and it would bring it in. So it brings it in down at the bottom. When it does, if you already have a production point area and all you brought in was your fish hatchery, but you already have a file for that, then you're just going to click on your fish hatchery at the bottom down here, hit the middle scroll wheel, hold it down, don't let go, very carefully hold it down, lift it all the way up, holding the middle scroll wheel down until this highlights, and then let go over the production point area, and it'll throw it in here. But if you did the production point area one, then you're going to put it within the buildings folder. So you'll click on this, hold middle scroll wheel down, drag it till it goes over the buildings area. If you don't have buildings or locations or any of that, you need to click create transform group, and then after you create the transform group, it'll say transform group right here in this attributes box. Then you'll just title it locations, and then you do create another one, create transform group, and then title that one buildings. Then you'll take and hit your middle scroll wheel on buildings and hold it down and drag it into the locations one. Then you'll highlight your locations one if you already have a map folder, and then hit the middle scroll wheel and drag that into map. And then you can click on this that you brought in and hit middle scroll wheel and drag it into buildings. If you don't have a map one, then you could make one. Just hit the same thing, create transform group, name it map, so on. But usually you have, sometimes when they do a map, usually you already have that, but it depends on what kind of map you're working from. If it's completely scratch, or how did you do it, everybody's different. So now we're going to go ahead and say you brought it in. So once you brought it in and you put it in the folder that you want it in, highlight it, the whole building, hit Control B as in boy, left mouse click, and again, make sure that you line it up okay, with the brush. So you put the building where you want it, check the water first, then turn it after that, or real close to that time frame with that brush. So as soon as you figure out, okay, well, let me check the brush, I say fix the brush first, check this first. So if this don't match perfectly in alignment, turn the building until it does, and then make your water be where it's going to be, and then you can worry about lifting your building up or down to be wherever it needs to be. Okay, and then you're going to just go from there and go around and take your sculpt mode. Since we have a little left, that's good. And remember, I'm not doing this on screen to get this all right. Now, I may have to put a sidewalk or something around the edge if I don't want to rechange it, or if I'm having trouble getting this up. Or there's other ways of doing it. You can make a plane, and then you can add texture to it, a texture thing to it. So it just depends on what you want to do. Let me see. Come to go under create primitives plane. Then once you made it plane, then you would make it the length you need it, and you would put it into like concrete or whatever you're trying to do. But I ain't gonna show that right now. But that can cover this hole up. That's what I'm trying to say. You need to make sure it had a collision so that you could stand on it wherever there was a little hole at. But that would cover up your mistake, is what I'm saying. Or you could just take an original sidewalk and just stretch it out over this so that it covers it up, or whatever. There's some different pieces of stuff that they have around the rocks, and they have different things that you could lay over these little spots to make it look better. Okay, if you have a problem, go ahead and hit the sculpt mode, and then you're gonna make sure you have it on whatever brush you need, and then replace. And then as soon as it loads, you're gonna hit in this area, because that's the level that I want it to go to. Control R, and then I'm gonna left click and hold down so it goes to that level, and that clean that up. And then I'm gonna left click, Control R over here on top of this, and again gently lift up on here. And as you can see, this side's not as bad because it's on this corner, but if I was to keep going, it would mess up. Like I say, it would jump in the middle, and then it wouldn't look right. So just remember, that's the thing. Now, we're not going to fight with it. I was just doing a little on screen so y'all can kind of see the process. But you get the point. You would fight with it and try not to go in the middle, but watch, as soon as I turn this off, I bet there's some in the middle. Or am I lucky this time? Nope, see, it's all in there. That's what my point is. It's all in there. So if you get that squared up, that'll make that a lot less likely to happen. Okay? So, and then also this middle piece needs dirt, and that's a whole nother issue. See, and it's going to be the same jagged deal. You see how the jagged pieces are? So I'll have to decide if I want to turn this or do something different. If I have to, I'll end up turning it and making the hook a little different, but we'll see. I don't know that I will, or I'll put it somewhere else and just go move it. But my whole point of the video is show y'all how to get it in and the little details. And y'all can put yours wherever in the world you want. I can always change this. I don't have to stick to anything I do. And you don't either. You can always change it if it's not working out. Okay? So, and then of course this side's going to be up a hill. So you got to remember, you got all that's going to be in the air. So you're going to be putting the ground up to those points. And then it'll be a road that comes down. You could either make a road there if you want, or however it's going to be. We'll see when we get in game a little more of the detail. Alright, so now we need to go get the information. We need to hit save. So let's hit save. Let it do its thing. You could paint. You could do all the stuff you're going to do, decorate, whatever. Or typically I don't do that until afterward. I usually do my XML first, but once I pick my location and get it kind of settled in, but then I do the extra stuff. So as soon as it saves, we'll go get the XML and check it and see what we got going on here. Now I hadn't used this place, so I'm going to be looking afresh and anew when we go in game to see what in the world this place has to offer. So I'm not going to do a full detailed thing on it. And it's almost through. Should be just about through. I kind of did a little bit of molding. so it's taking a little longer to catch all that up. I'm working on another area, molding some stuff, getting it ready to do a video. Yeah, it's gonna take a second because I did do a little bit of work. It takes longer when you've done extra stuff, and I've did a lot of molding, so I hadn't saved it in a little while. So let it do its thing. We can go ahead and close that other map just so it's less work on my computer. But like I said, you need to leave yours open if you're going to be working in the Giants editor so you can be looking back and forth. But when you test it in game, it's best to close it so you're not pulling too much on your computer all at once. That's probably why it's struggling to save. It's already got another whole thing open. It's got OBS open and everything else open. So just give it a little longer, because I did a whole bunch of work over there. There we go. So I'm going to close this one just to make your life easier. Hit no, that you don't want to save it because you don't want to change anything. And if you hit no, that means nothing you could have accidentally did by accident while you were in the main game one it won't be a change because you're saying don't save it, so it's going to stay original. So that's why you say no. Okay? Now we're going to go look in the main game, Placeables XML, to see what we got. So go back to wherever you had opened up your Giants editor. I mean your your Map US Giants editor i3D. So just go back to wherever it is. Mine's in D drive all the way through till you get to Farm Sim 25 data maps US. But we're gonna go to the Placeables XML, and that's in the config folder. So go there, go to the Placeables XML, click it, left click once, right click, then edit with Notepad++. It'll open this. You're going to come in here and you're going to look for the building you're working on. So we're just going to look around and see if we see it. Now I bet this one's a little different because it doesn't look like it's in this list. And that's interesting. So it isn't even showing up in this area. It should have been like right here, right above this. Unless I stuck it someplace else, but we'll see. Let's look up here for the fish thing. Let's see. Now you can type it in with the little thing, but I'm just trying to read and see. Interesting. Alright, let's type it in. Hit the Control F as in Frank. Type in fish. I'll just type fish and see if that's enough. Okay, that's not enough. Well, let me go look and see what it says it is. It says it's a fish hatchery. So there's not even a thing. I bet it's because they did it differently on this one. It's not a pre-placed ID on it. But I would have still thought it would have been out up in here. It does have an i3D on the thing. So do they have any triggers for it? That's the question. That's interesting. Okay, so fish, let's just type hatchery. Or start to type hatchery. Let's see if it finds it. Alright, it's not in there. Alright, well let me go to the top and start scanning it so I can explain it. There's some of them that do that. I want to explain it. Alright, so look for it. Look for anything that's to do with it. Okay. It's none of that. None of that. None of that. None of that. Chicken. Nope. None of that. 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 Selling station production. That's the animal trader. The train. Nope. Okay, the BGA. Nope. None of this. That's all the gas stations, the lime stations. That's the restaurant thing. This is the elevator trigger. This is the grain barge. Other one, this the Terminal 2 one. Grain River silo. That's not it. The vehicle one, the warehouse. They're not gonna have it. Okay, and I'll explain what my thoughts are on that. Okay, the bakery can, place, cement, dredge, oil, paper mill, rope. Yep, it's not there. Okay, so it's not in here at all. Now that is weird, and the reason for it. Let me go show you what the reasoning is. Now I'm gonna open the dairy and show you. This has a pre-placed ID. So if you come in here, it's got a unique ID. So here's that ID. Okay, and that goes to that building, and it goes in the placeables XML. But if you click on this one and you open it, it don't. It has an I3D spot, because you see this one don't show one. See under user attribute, it don't show one, then you open it, and it's got this. When it has this, it's got an I3D reference. And if you'll go there, it shows you where that is. And it's in textures, buildings, fish hatchery, I3D. So let's go there. I want to show you, because it's not in the placeables XML. I had a feeling this one was like that, because I remember there were a few, and I just had forgotten that it was, because like I said, I don't play that fishery thing in the in-game, so I didn't remember really what all went with this one. So that's what the deal is. So basically, it's not in here. You're going to go back one. It should be in this one, I believe. Buildings and fish hatchery, and there's the I3D. But you notice there's no XML. See? There's just this stuff that comes with it, and then that. And then of course, if you open it, you'd see the fish hatchery. So I was wondering if there was some sort of trigger with it. So the fish hatchery must not do anything on the map. Interesting. So I'm going to have to go there on Riverbend just to look real quick for y'all, so we can show about the icon thing. Now let's go look in the store items. So we're going to go back to the map US in the main game area. Just click back all the way. And go back under config, and then go under store items. Right click and click edit with Notepad++. Now when you come in here, you're going to notice that they don't have that in here either, because there is no XML. And that's what I just showed you. There is no XML. And so the reason is because it's in the I3D area, and it's not in that. It's not put with an XML, so it doesn't need the store item. You see? So that's the difference. Let me double check to make sure that they don't have one. Okay, so there is no fish hatchery in any of these. That means when we go in game, it doesn't even have one. So see, I hadn't played that part of the game on Riverbend, so I didn't know if it did anything or not. I thought maybe they would have had like some sort of sell point there. So let's go in. Since we did it, that means we can go in game and it's just there, and it's not going to do a function. So that's why it's not even in the store items area. So we can just go on in the game and look. But I'm going to take you to Riverbend, because of what I want to show you is that it's not going to have a thing here. Okay, that's what I want to go show you. So let's go on into the Riverbend to show you this area, and then you'll see what I'm talking about. Alright, so let's go to the Farm Sim 25. You can see I hadn't loaded it today. Appreciate everybody. Smash the like button. Hope everybody's enjoying all the tutorials. It helps to be able to see the different files, because then it helps you know, like that file up here is an I3D thing, and it doesn't have that XML. So if you would have looked in that one, I can't do it now, but if you'd have clicked that, it wouldn't have had one. So, and you can see each building is a separate little building in there. The warehouse thing, it's all within that cluster. So we're just going to wait for it to open. It's going to take a second, because like I said, I hadn't opened it today. But here we go. Going to get it loaded in. Check out the playlist and all the stuff I've been doing. Alright, let's jump on in. Click that. No tour. We're going to go ahead and stay on Riverbend so y'all can see the original. I want y'all to see that so y'all can understand the difference. So it helps, it really helps beginners especially get the concept of why one thing needs something versus another. So, but it won't take long and we'll be loaded. And I'll catch you when we're loaded. Alrighty then, let's go on and get in the game. Take a second to open. Now, let's hit escape. Find that place, which is over here somewhere. Let me back out where I can see. Looks like it's here, right here. So see, it doesn't have any kind of icon. And I'm thinking, this is my thoughts. They're coming out with a new thing for Farm Sim that's probably they're gonna open it, and that's why it was all gated off and blocked. There's a gate here, there's a gate there where you can't get in. I'm assuming it didn't work, you know what I'm saying? So we can go there, we'll drive here. Let's see, we'll just come here, buy a vehicle, and oh, that's the warehouse, my bad. We'll buy a vehicle and we'll drive here and see if it lets us do anything with the gate or anything. But I'm assuming this is for the future release of that fish stuff, and I'm assuming then it'll work, or they just made it for looks only, and it doesn't have one of these icons. That's why it's not in the store item information ain't in there, which would be this picture. Well, the placeable XML calls that picture, and then you got your store item for your icon, and you know, you have your whole deal. Okay, so that's why that's not showing up in either of those areas, because it's not working, meaning they didn't make it nothing. So we're gonna come right here and we're gonna buy some vehicle to get over there. So we'll just get a truck or something and get this here and lease it and head on over there and see. Like I said, I hadn't played that area and looked, and so I didn't know if it had any sell point or anything or not until I got to looking, and I'm like, hey, it's nothing there. So we'll just try to get on over there. What did they stop there for? Oh, that's weird. Alright, let's see if I can go. I think it's up here. I'll take a peek again at the thing. Look, there's a water icon right there for that tower. I don't remember seeing that little icon there. And I played the game quite a bit here, so it should have been. Let me see if I'm going in the right direction. So turn and then turn again. Okay. Turn right here. And then I think it said turn here. Yeah. Turn here. Alright. So we're not too far from the place. That's good. I didn't realize it was this close. Whoa! We just did get over the track in time. The train thing coming down. I was trying to see if the train was... Yep, right there. Well, that was quick. Alright. Alright, see down there? That's that way to that place. But right here, it's going to be blocked off. Now, I never looked right here. I've never turned in here when I play the game. And as you can see, it's blocked. So I was thinking that it was going to have a gate that might work. But nope, it won't even let you down there. So technically, there's a spot. I don't know if you're going to be able to get there, but you can get through right here. And then we can go look. So we'll leave the truck, we'll head on down. And so this must be for future stuff or just for looks, which makes no sense because you can't use it, the road part. But you can see what I was telling you about the fence. It's just the way they covered it up. They just, you know, see how that's floating right there. And you got a little trail that comes around. Then this don't work, see. I'm clicking buttons and nothing's working, so they didn't make it work. They'll probably take that part away, but you can see that's a pit where you can see down in there. And then this is how they got this. So basically you can look here from slipping around, but you can't drive down here. And you can't, there's no function to it. So I'm assuming they're going to either do it later or whatever. Now I'm gonna, since I didn't block myself fully in by putting trees and stuff in the way up at the top, like mine, I would have it where there's a road that could come right here if the gate actually worked. But since it don't, I would have it so that the road would be over here where I slipped through. So like on mine, it would be right here. A road would be right here. All that would be clear. And since this runs into this wall, mine would be open. You know how you saw it on my map where it was open right here, and then the fence suddenly was here. So I had that opening, I could make a road there. But what I could do, or you could do, is put whatever sell point you want here. So you could open it up just by cutting through there, or you don't even have to have that fence. You could, you know, make a custom area here. And then you could put your own sell point here or wherever of something. You could pick whatever you thought you should sell here. And then, you know, these would just be little pits or containers or whatever. But they didn't do anything unless there's some mod that does stuff to it later, or like I said, they're coming out with that map and that's a fish stuff. They may, I don't know if they're gonna fix this, update this to where it works and does anything. But you can see that's why you can't even use it, because they got the gates, and then it's blocked. And there's a little trail, and see the gate is locked. See it? It's got a padlock on it. So that's how you do it and get it in there. But like I say, you need to check your ground, get everything to match. You can come in here and look, see what you need to do if you're not sure where something needs to be molded to. But yeah, you can't even use it. That's kind of silly. A whole big old area. Now, anybody with any newer information on it that knows more on this particular area, do tell. But I'm pretty sure it's going to either be nothing at all, or they'll open it up whenever they get the fish stuff that they've added, you know, the new fish thing that's coming out soon. So that's my assumption. I don't know. So, but anyway, I guess that's going to do it. I mean, we could go in mine, but there ain't really no point. This is what it's going to look like, other than we'll just be in a different spot on my map. So you can see that's what it looks like. But I guess we're going to go ahead and call that a video. I hope you enjoyed. That's how you get that building and get the ground situated right. There is no XML work on this one, and no store items on this one. It's just the building with an i3D that's in the texture folder under the buildings area. Alright, so I appreciate everybody. Please smash that like button, subscribe, turn on your notification bell if you want to receive a notification every time I post a video. Goodbye, everybody.